Good afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien here on the afternoon of Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this afternoon. And now, the rest of the story. And the rest of the story today is the Rogue Manor in Medford, Oregon. When I was either 8 or 9, I saw this report, and I heard the report. I didn't see the report because at that time it was radio by Paul Harvey on his rest of the story. And he did it about the Rogue Manor in Medford, Oregon, who was just opening in the late 1960s, whether 68 or 69, I forgot the year. But at that time, you know that Medicare had just come into existence in 1965, and that was just the original Medicare, basic nothing. Social Security was, coming into being, but didn't have the stuff that it has today. It was still just paying you a small little pittance, and that's about it. There was no benefits like you see them today, disability or anything like that. It was just, you turned 65 and you got whatever you poured into it, whatever they figured for 10 years that you worked, and they gave it to you. And Mr. Harvey was looking at the Rogue Manor, who sat in the Rogue Valley up a hill in Medford, Oregon. And at the time, it was a lot of orchards there. 10 acres of orchards, I believe, and they built this beautiful looking hotel. I mean, they were the big top of the line hotels in those lines, maybe 9, 10 floors on the hotels with everything. The Fontainebleau had just opened in Miami before this hotel, but this was supposed to be the first of its kind, the first retirement for senior citizens. The greatest generation, as Mr. Harvey put it, retirement, golden years to be spent there. And like he said, you had your regular income pensions and you had your Social Security. But, and this place wasn't exactly cheap for the late 1960s. So only a few of the upper echelon peoples would do that. But it had, and Mr. Harvey was intending for it to continue his vision of what he figured retirement for senior citizens would be in the future, like today. And this was supposed to have been the start of it. Well, as you know, it never happened. Things got bad in the 70s and 80s. The greatest generation turned out to be on the street, most of them old, or convalescent homes, nursing homes today. You still see what's left of the great generation. There's a few left, less than a few thousand. I've seen some in the places I've lived in Atlanta, Marietta, Georgia, here in Deltona, Florida. And the way they've been treated, it was like a dump place. And it's also happened to my generation, the baby boomers. At the time when the Rogue Manor opened in the late 1960s, we were just barely 20, 21, 22 years old. And younger. I was 8 and 9. And I'm towards the end of it, 59, not the 46. I was towards the 64 end of it. Today, I'm 63 and not quite yet, but I've had disability, so I had to get Medicare and Medicaid to get me through. And there's a lot of people like me from my generation and a lot of people from the great generation due to war and other injuries that happen and pandemics and all kinds of other stuff that happened in the 50s and 40s. you don't talk about, but they did happen. And well, our generation, heck, the new generation here, Z, had to deal with the pandemic of uh, COVID-19, and before that, SARS. Yeah. But in all the living that my wife and I did, and my wife was very sick due to all kinds of issues that happened to her. Her body just couldn't stand up, and she passed away at age 77. Heart failure, diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it, my poor baby had it. And there's a lot of people that way. I know a lot of people in uh, Sterling Court in Deltona, Florida, which is supposed to be a retirement place, and that's all they do. They take your money, $2,000, $3,000, almost $4,000 in some cases. They get cottages that people pay over $4,000 for because they're 2 bedrooms. They gave me a good deal at 1861 when I first moved there in September of 2021 after my wife passed away. But I couldn't afford it because my Social Security didn't get to 1861 at the time. So I had to get Medicaid to help me, and now I'm at Grand Villa. And my question for you Americans, especially you Oregonians, especially the ones in Medford, Oregon, is the Rogue Manor living to the expectations that Paul Harvey had on him today? And it's an old, it's probably 60-year-old building. I mean, here at Grand Villa, where I live in DeLand, Florida, it's probably a 40-year-old building, 30-year-old building. But the staff keeps it in good shape. The ownership keeps it in good shape. The staff looks after their residents here better than any other place I've been, and I've been to 4 of them. Some of them have been disastrous. Some of them have been worse than nursing homes. So, the rest of the story, Americans, especially Oregonians, is the Rogue Manor in Medford, Oregon, living up to the expectations of Paul Harvey, or are they treating their residents like every other facility that charges at least $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, and just take the money and don't do anything for the residents? That is my question. So the rest of the story is up to you, Oregonians, especially from Medford, Oregon. You have to tell me, are they living up to it or no? This is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey. Good day.